To player rating, starting off with Vicario. Sim gives him a 2. I give him a 3. Probably a 2 is fairer, to be honest, because apart from the mistakes that led to goals, he pretty much had nothing to do in the game.
Yeah.
So every shot we faced that went in the back of the net, pretty much, apart from the Gibbs White one in the second half.
He did make a save from Gibbs White right at the beginning of the game, didn't he?
That's true.
From like 30 yards, but it should be
he
saving
gets a whole point for that save from me.
He should be saving that though, shouldn't he?
He should be, but he should be saving the ones that go in as well. Like the first one, I know he sees it a bit late because of the Bentancur deflection, but still, you've got to be doing a lot better than what he did. The one that was offside, I mean, that was terrible. And then the one that actually went in for the second goal, I just don't understand how a keeper of his caliber can do what he did for that goal. It just mind boggles me how bad that actually was. Chris Wood, the ball is landing on Chris Wood's head and he decides to jump out at that moment in time behind him. That's nowhere near him. I mean, it just boggles my mind.
Yeah, and obviously off the back of 2 mistakes against Wolves as well, where, for 2 goals we conceded, that put us 2-0 down. And off the back as well, a shaky performance against Chelsea. It's not been a great few weeks for him. Obviously the Frankfurt games, he wasn't bad, but in the Premier League over the last few weeks, definitely some worrying performances from him. And especially the fact that, I still do regard him as an unbelievable shot stopper, but all of a sudden, that first goal we conceded yesterday, the first goal we conceded against Wolves was so soft. Should be saving both of them, like really, really soft goals. And then look, we know him coming for crosses, that's something he's always kind of had to work on, I feel, ever since he's come here. And that obviously second goal was emblematic of that poor decision to come out, completely miss the ball and give Wood a free header. But I also think obviously in that goal, the defenders have culpability there as well, because I think if Vicario stays on his line, I don't think he saves that header. And we got to wonder why he's got a free header in the box. So the defence is definitely culpable for that, but Vicario just comes flying like Superman and missing the ball completely.
What is it with Vicario at the moment? Like, is he struggling to get himself up for these league games as well? Like, as well as like people like Cuti Romero? Like, he's supposed to be one of the leaders in the dressing room and on the pitch, and his performances seem to be declining, getting worse and worse as the Premier League games progress. So I just don't understand what's going on with him. Is it time to put Kinski in for the Premier League games?
I wouldn't be against it. Vicario still playing well in Europa, but I wouldn't mind giving Kinski some run out. I don't think he deserves to not play again between now and the end of the season. I know Vicario is our number 1, but I wouldn't mind seeing Kinski in the Premier League and maybe take Vicario's mind off these Prem games because he's not playing well at the moment.
Pedro Porro up next. Sim gives him an 8. I gave him a 7. He was a constant threat throughout with his ball playing ability. Most of our big chances all came through his brilliant crossing, corners as well on the money. There was one that for Kulusevski. He provided the assist as well for Richarlison. I thought he put in a really good display, but I thought his defending for the first goal left a little bit to be desired about, and it was pretty poor from him from the first goal.
Yeah, I mean, I have to watch the first goal back, but I don't know how much you can put on Porro. After what was his clearance, was it? Yeah, but that goal, there was so many things wrong. I don't know if we can put that on Porro, but I thought for the most part, he was brilliant, to be honest. I thought most of our good attacking things came through him. I think his delivery was spot on. I think he's one of the few right-backs in the league who's capable of that kind of performance. Just constant, brilliant deliveries from out wide if you give him space. And he was putting it on the money time and time for Richarlison, and his set pieces were fantastic as well. I think he was our best creative outlet on the day. And in fact, I think I'll go as far as say we were very reliant on his creativity yesterday, with how good his delivery was and his constant threats down the line. So really, really good performance from Porro for me.
Cuti Romero up next. Him gives him a 5. I gave him a 4. Another Premier League game, another shocker, to be honest, from Romero, in my opinion. Definitely should have been sent off. Only played 45 minutes and he made 3 bookable offences, and one of them could have even been a straight red, in my opinion. It just felt like that kind of old Conte Cuti Romero came back, where the kind of red mist kind of descends and he was just going in. And you saw that, you've seen that kind of creep in the last couple of games as well, even against Frankfurt. I mean, I know we were, defending for our lives in the latter stage of the game, but, he's going into challenges full-blooded. And in those kind of games, when we're defending a lead, you don't really mind it. But when you're 2-0 down in a game like Nottingham Forest and he's doing his best to get sent off, it really is a bit poor from him. And from a defensive capability as well, he just can't seem to get himself up for these Premier League games. And I think yesterday was another example of it.
Yeah, I only remember the challenge he got booked for. I don't remember the other ones, but I thought in general his defending, he was switching off. I think he switched off for the second goal. The goal that got ruled out for offside, he didn't cover himself a much scorer with that, allowing Chris Wood to get in behind. Van de Ven as well, we'll get into him. And I just felt like when in that first half, when they were on the transition, especially early on, he just didn't seem switched on, and I think it was costing us time and time again. And I think obviously as the half wore on, he was a bit better. But I think those opening 15 minutes, he was just a bit all over the place, and he just wasn't great. And as you say, there was some meaty challenges in there, which on another day a referee could have taken a different decision with some of those challenges. So yeah, it wasn't a great game by him.
Mickey Van de Ven, 5s all round for Mickey. Again, another player that only lasted 45 minutes, and it wasn't the kind of usual Mickey Van de Ven which we've been accustomed to seeing. I thought, from a defensive standpoint, he let a few things get by him. The goal that Chris Wood wins in the air, I think Mickey's got to be doing a lot better in that situation. There was one really good challenge in there, but apart from that, I don't remember too many good things from Mickey.
Yeah, agree with that. Wasn't his best game. I think he struggled aerially with the aerial threat of Chris Wood, especially when crosses were coming in. That's something that I've criticised Mickey of. Such a tall guy, but doesn't dominate enough aerially with considering his size. And obviously he's so good at running in behind, but that's definitely a bit of a weakness. And I think when he's defending crosses, that's something he's really got to work on. You got to remember he's still, very young, so that's definitely something he can add to his game. But at the moment, that's something he's struggling with, I feel.
Jed Spence up next, 6s all round for Jed. Yeah, it was an okay display from Jed. Nothing great, nothing bad. I think he handled his side pretty well from a defensive standpoint. Not much got past him throughout the whole evening. But I just felt like he could have done a bit more to impact the play going forward. It was nice, a few nice little pass and goes, but apart from that, he didn't really get himself in any dangerous positions.
Yeah, I think there was some nice link up between him and Tell at times, and he did get to the byline at times quite impressively. But as well, we've seen a lot more from Spence in other games this season in recent weeks, and a lot more chances created, a lot more real kind of fearlessness, and I'm not seeing that at the moment from Jed. But I agree, he kind of dominated Elanga. Elanga didn't really have much in this game, but on the flip side, when they're 2-0 up, maybe they didn't feel the need to get Elanga in those positions too often. So you could say that as well. I don't think it was bad, but it wasn't his best.
Rodrigo Bentancur up next. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. He did well just sitting at the base and kept recycling the ball. And every time the ball came in our half, he was the one gobbling it up and spraying it on. But there was quite a few misplaced passes there, and there was a few kind of sloppy moments defensively where he let a few players bypass him. But yeah, it was a bit up and down from Bentancur.
Yeah, I think there was some really good stuff in the middle, like when Forest, they were transitioning, and he was able to just get his foot in and get the ball forward and make stopping the kind of the trouble at source. But there was a few times he did look a bit leggy and a bit overrun. Maybe he could have been brought on off earlier. I think maybe he was getting a bit tired during the game. But I think it was an okay performance. Wasn't spectacular. He was a lot better against Frankfurt.
Pape gets a 4 from Sim and a 5 from me. And I thought the first half he was really poor. A lot of energy, not much quality, which, we've been saying a lot with Sarr this season, to be honest. And I did feel, though, as in the second half, he did improve a little bit and he was driving the team forward, and it definitely better in the second half than he was in the first, but still nothing great.
Yeah, I think just quiet. I think where we didn't see him anywhere near enough was when we were trying to break Forest down and we're attacking. He's just not really doing much. He's not getting involved anywhere near enough, or he's not showing enough quality when he's in that final third. And the way we play and the position he takes up, we've seen him do it. We've seen him show quality in that final third, but just recently he hasn't been showing anywhere near enough. And I think yesterday was another example of just him having lack of involvement, I think.
Decky up next. Him gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. Unfortunately, a poor display from Decky. Not much was coming off for him throughout. What was he on the pitch for about 70 minutes? And yeah, just physically, I don't think he's there just yet. Didn't seem to have too much quality on the ball either. He had that one chance as well, which he could have, definitely had a goal with the unbelievable goal line clearance from Toffolo. But apart from that, I don't really remember him being any sort of danger for Nottingham Forest.
Yeah, and to be fair, that was quite a good header. Did get it beyond Sells, and it was really unfortunate that Toffolo had got back on the line for that moment. But I thought he was just giving the ball away sloppily, very easily dispossessed. You can see he's trying, whenever he gets the ball, he's trying these little flicks, and he's trying, which I don't mind Decky doing, but the problem is I don't think it ever came off for him yesterday at all. And usually he comes off 2 or 3 times a game where he's looking sharp. But yesterday he just seemed a bit sluggish, wasn't quite on the ball. I don't remember too many quality moments in the final third. I think he had a shot as well, which Sells pretty comfortably saved in the first half. Other than that, don't remember too many chances he created. Should be, expect more from him.
Yeah, with him being out for a month and a half.
He said he had a stress fracture.
Yeah, but look, it's all about him just building up that fitness and getting him back to peak fitness for those Bodo games. That's what it's all about for Decky. Odebear up next, 7s all round for Wilson. And yeah, I thought he had a fairly strong display, particularly in the last 20 minutes of the first half. He was being a bit of a demon in those 20 minutes and beating Toffolo, I think, 2 or 3 times in the one-on-one dribbles. And he was looking dangerous. He was getting good balls into the box as well, providing a really good outlet for us on that right-hand side. And it's just something that we haven't seen all season from our right wing, because Brennan Johnson can't do that. And we need Odebear. He's got a skill set that we desperately need in this team. And if he can do that consistently over the course of 90 minutes, we've got a really good wing on our hands. I just feel like he drifts in and out of games a bit too much.
I think Porro, you could see, was definitely, I don't know whether it was instruction or it was his intention, but constantly finding Odebear down that right-hand side in space, which is why I think that is the advantage you get when you invert the fullbacks. I think you saw it yesterday where Porro's tucked inside a bit, and it just allowed Odebear to be isolated constantly against the fullback. And when you've got a player who could have the beating of his fullback in that position, all of a sudden it makes all the difference. And I think Odebear was getting to the byline constantly, getting balls across the face of goal. One of them flashed across the face of goal. Another one, he found Richarlison, who's got to be burying that. He also linked up with Tell a couple of times. There was one time Tell pulls it back to him on the edge of the box, and he had a decent effort, which was pushed wide by Sells, I think, in the first half as well. I think I'm not sure if it was at 1-0 or 2-0, but he had a decent effort from outside the box. So I thought it was a really good first half from Odebear, but I did think he tired in that second and was rightfully, it could have been him or Tell, to be honest. Could have been taken off for Brentwood when we brought on Brennan. But I was encouraged by Odebear again. A good performance down the right-hand side, and really, I think, really helped kind of break Forest down.
Matisse Tell up next, 7s all round for Matisse as well. Yeah, it was decent. It was decent from Matisse. Maybe a 7 is a bit of a stretch. Maybe a 6 or 6.5 or whatever. But he was a threat down that left-hand side. He was showing his dribbling ability. He was having consistent shots at goal and having a go at the Nottingham Forest side. And I thought Nico Williams did, have a bit of a handball on his hands with Tell. And I like the way that he's seeming to grow in confidence on the ball. Like, he's getting the ball and he's trying to take on his man, trying to have shots on, trying to take a dig. But it's all going to come down to that chance at the back post. He's got to be finishing that. That was our best chance of the first half, and it was really unfortunate what happened, because you've got to be more clinical than that.
But it wasn't even close. He completely fluffed it. It was nowhere near, and that's going to be really frustrating, especially with that kind of chance when Forest have opened the door, which they rarely do with a mistake. You've got to at least test the keeper or something. To completely fluff it like that was very frustrating. But I did think he was a big threat down the left-hand side. And actually, I remember there was one good cross to Richarlison, who should have been doing better with a header, which went wide. There was some good link-up with Odebear. I thought, again, similar to Odebear down that side, constantly finding him in moments where he's able to isolate Nico and giving him a lot of trouble. And I think having both wingers in those situations really helped us. And it's something that we rarely have been able to see this season. And I think in the first half, especially, he was creating a lot of chances. Second half, maybe wasn't in the game as much. I actually thought he ended the game fairly strong, was getting on the ball quite a bit and trying to make things happen. I was pretty happy with him. I think by and large, pretty positive display, and I do think he's getting better and better as the games go on, which is encouraging. But the games are running out, so I guess we're running out of games to make judgments of him. But from what you're seeing from Tell at the moment, like if the Bodo game was this week, would you start him over Son if Son was fit?
No, I don't think I would. I'll still start Sonny.
What if he has a good game against Liverpool?
It depends how good. But I still think a rested Sonny, if he comes into it in full fitness, he's got qualities that Tell doesn't have. So I would still start Sonny, albeit I do think Tell is improving over the last couple of weeks, but I don't think it's been enough to displace Sonny out of the team just yet.
Fair.
Next up is Richarlison. Sim gives him a 5. I gave him a 6. A constant threat, to be honest, in the number 9 position, getting in those goal-scoring opportunities. He just seems much more of a threat to the opposition goal than Dom Solanke has pretty much since coming back from his injury or all season, to be honest. And I think his goal tally since coming back has proved that as well, consistently getting goals at the moment. Richarlison yesterday was no different, ended up finally getting the goal in his 4th or 5th or 6th chance of the game. He's just not clinical enough by any stretch of the imagination, but I feel like he troubled the Nottingham Forest back two more than a lot of strikers have this season. That's the reality. And he forced one good save out of Matt Sells and then missed a couple of other really big chances where he's got to put it in the back of the net. So a lot of good in terms of, kept plodding away, getting in good positions, being aggressive up against a very aggressive back two in Milenkovic and Murillo. But the downside is that he's got to be a lot more clinical than he was.
Yeah, it's hard to know how to feel about this Richarlison display because, as you say, I think he was a very different kind of number 9 display than we've been afforded by Solanke. Not to say it's much better, but obviously because Solanke drops a lot deeper, he gets involved in the play, he holds the ball up. We didn't see that much of Richarlison doing that yesterday. What we did see him is in the box, constantly causing a nuisance, getting on the end of crosses, causing problems for the Forest centre-backs. And to be fair to him, he was constantly getting chances. And, a lot of people talk about, it's interesting, I saw a tweet yesterday saying, oh, look how many chances Richarlison had with his head. Why don't we ever swing those crosses in for Solanke? Well, I was looking at the stats, and Porro this season, I think, is top of the league in the whole division for crosses into the box. So I doubt he's there doing that only when Solanke's not playing. I'm sure a lot of it is when Solanke's playing in the number 9. So at what point do you have to say, well, how much of a responsibility is it of Solanke to start getting on the end of things and getting in the box? Because Richarlison has not been in the team for that long and he seems to be able to do it a lot more.
But you got to say that Solanke, when he plays, drops a lot deeper than what Richarlison was doing yesterday.
But that's my point. Like, is that an instruction? Is he telling Richarlison, you're not dropping deep, but Solanke, you drop deep? You know what I mean? Or is it at some point, what responsibility is on Solanke to be getting ahead of his man, getting those chances and making space for himself, which Richarlison seems being able to do at the moment.
But surely it's a instruction because he wasn't doing that at Bournemouth last season. At Bournemouth, he was consistently, there ready to pounce in the box.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I can't see like we will pick all these crosses in. As I say, Porro is the top in the division for crosses whipped in the box. I just think Solanke needs to take some responsibility for not getting as many chances as he should be getting as well. I don't think he's blameless in that. Anyway, back on Richarlison. I was happy that he was able to get those chances, and it was good to see a striker, get, especially against a really good defence, get as many chances as he did, especially given that in recent weeks Tottenham have been struggling to create those many opportunities. So that was good, but unfortunately, he was the big reason we lost because most of our chances did fall to him. The one in the first half, he's just got to be braver. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he took his eye off the ball. I don't know if he was worried about clashing into the post, but he's got to be burying that header. He's got to be putting it into the empty net. That's got to be a goal 9 times out of 10. That has to be a goal. I think he maybe bottled that a bit, that moment. There was one chance where he got a bit of luck, it deflected into his path, and he had a one-on-one with Sells. Again, I think kind of pulled out of it a bit. He lacked conviction when it came there. Sells just made himself big. whether it's conviction or composure, whatever you want to call it, I think he should have been putting that chance away as well.
It's
But
still
Sels did well.
I think it's a harder chance than it looks because, you know, he's very close to Matt Sels in that moment in time.
I understand it, but I think if a bit more quality and he puts that chance away, and it's a really good opportunity. And Sels does well to come out quickly. Don't get me wrong, but I think Richarlison will be disappointed he didn't put that away as well. I think, to be fair, other than those two chances, I think the other header he had, which forced a very good save out of Sels, you just got to say that's a really good header. That's a really good save, sorry. So that's unfortunate. And then
Gets down low really quickly.
Yeah, and then the goal we scored was a great header. I think you got to give him credit. It was a really good header right into the corner.
Yeah.
And I did think it helped him when Solanke came on and they had that little bit of a partnership going, and also it took the attention away from him a bit, so he was able to get a bit more space in the box. So that helped him. So, look, I think if we see more from that of Richarlison, I'll be happy if we can start putting those away. And apparently, that's now 4 and 6 for him in his last 6. So fair play to him on that.
You actually look back at when he went on that run of scoring like 11 goals in like 12 or 13 games, whatever it was last season. Since then, his goal scoring record, goals per game ratio is actually really good.
When he's on the pitch.
Yeah, we just can't seem to get him on the pitch enough.
Yeah, so I think you could probably say he was one of the main reasons we got chances, but he's also one of the main reasons we missed them as well. It's hard to be harsh, judge him harshly. But yeah, look, I gave him a 5 because he missed 4 big chances. You just can't miss that level. That's that amount at this level, I think.
Kevin Danso comes on at halftime. Sim gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought he performed well from a defensive standpoint, but where I got frustrated with Danso, I just felt like he made a number of loose passes just into the centre of the park when we're looking to build up attacks from the back. And yeah, it was just a bit frustrating watching it. But yeah, I have no other issues with his display, really.
Yeah, I think he was actually pretty good by and large. There was, I don't know how, from where I was sitting, he had a shot from about 25 yards, which looks fairly close. I don't know if it actually was on TV.
Which one?
He had a shot on his left foot from like 25 yards, which
it
flashed
was fairly
wide.
close. Yeah,
that looked quite close when I was watching it. I haven't seen it back, but so that was decent. I actually thought he was very, very brave in terms of his. He was basically being like another midfielder at times, especially when we were trying to break him down. There was a couple of really frustrating moments where he got on the ball in a midfield position and his pass went astray when we really needed it to be on point. But I think dominated Woods for when he was on. Obviously, Albioni came on, and actually Albioni did some quite good hold-up play. But I think by and large, he dealt with both those players quite well. The only one moment there was a bit of a mix-up between him and Davis allowed Gibbs-White to get in, and Gibbs-White probably should have done better with that chance. But other than that, I think he did pretty well.
Ben Davis up next. Him gives him a 7. I gave him a 6. I thought it was decent from Ben. Was marauding forward and having shots from the edge of the area as well as Nottingham Forest sat deeper and deeper and deeper. But from a defensive standpoint, I think he did his job really.
Yeah, I think nothing too much to shout about. Again, I'll talk about that mix-up between him and Danso, allowing Gibbs-White to get in. That should never have happened. They should have dealt with that situation. But I think actually decent display when he came on. I think he just helped make sure that Forest didn't get any joy. And to be honest, they didn't get really anything on the counter. And I think Davis was pretty decent.
Dom Solanke up next. Sim gives him a 5, as do I. And yeah, flattered to deceive a little bit. Didn't really impact too much things. As you said before, he just pretty much acted as a decoy to Richarlison. That's about all he did.
Yeah, and I think it worked, and I think he did his job. It was a bit of a selfless role for the team, but I think it kind of works. Richarlison was getting a lot more chances, but I think himself, I think he had a couple moments where he had a shot blocked and stuff. Didn't really trouble the defence himself in terms of getting in goal scoring positions. And
Brennan Johnson, Sim gives him a 4. I gave him a 5. Yeah, I mean, a lack of threat, to be honest, on that right-hand side when we moved on to that 4-4-2. And just Odebear just looks like a winger that's much more suited to this system than Brennan Johnson is. Yeah, I think we lost a bit when Odebear went off. I don't think it was the wrong decision, because I think Odebear was tiring a bit. But I feel when Johnson came on, he just didn't trouble the fullback, and especially you would think the fullback's tiring a bit potentially after Odebear's been running at him for the opening 70 minutes or so, and this could be a good opportunity for Johnson to come on and just go at him with his pace, and he just didn't do it. He just struggled to do it, struggled to impact the game, and wasn't great. Yeah. And Ange Postecoglou, Sim gives him a 6. I gave him a 5. Good and bad. You know, you got to give them credit for the way the team kind of performed for the most part of the game. I thought we were the better side. We created bundles of chances against a Nottingham Forest side that don't give up chances. So you got to give them credit for that. But the reality is we keep conceding these stupid goals early in games, giving up big chances, big individual errors, which, you know, you can't really account for as a manager. But when it keeps happening time and time again, you know, it's hard not to look at the manager. And too many goals we're conceding early in games. This one wasn't any different. We're 2-0 down within 20 minutes against a Nottingham Forest side, which on any normal day, you know, most teams are not overturning that in the Premier League, no matter how good you are. You know, this Nottingham Forest side are an unbelievable defensive side. So 18 losses this season has got to be taken into account as well when you're rating the manager for this game. So there are so many things going against him and so many unwanted records that he's going to be breaking this season. 16th, sitting 16th in the league. But if you're just going to look at this game in isolation, it's hard to put too much down on him in this game when you're just looking at the errors that Vicario made, the chances that we created and the chances that we didn't put away. On the face of things, just on this game, you're thinking, well, we did more than enough to draw, if not win this game. So if I'm Ange looking at this, I'm very frustrated. But the reality is similar things from a defensive standpoint seem to be happening week in, week out. So it's hard not to pin that down on the manager.
Yeah, definitely with the goalkeeper last few weeks, that's just really frustrating to watch. And there has to be, I don't know what we can say about the reason we keep giving away goals in the first 5 minutes and why it keeps happening. Sometimes it's a mistake. Sometimes it's Ekitike with just an unbelievable bit of quality. Against Wolves, it's a massive mistake. Yesterday, another mistake from the goalkeeper, why it's happening. But it's just a trend. It's a pattern of us giving away these moments in the right beginning of the games, and Ange can't seem to sort it. But I thought we did play well yesterday. I thought the wingers, them together, was much better. I thought that winger partnership of Tellem, Odebear, much better than we've seen from out wide recently. I also thought his in-game changes of going to a 4-4-2 did help, and I thought it helped us create more chances and pen them in and get more chances for Richarlison. And Richarlison obviously missed a load of chances, which he definitely should have put away. But I think we played well. I'm really unfortunate not to win. But again, it is another loss. And again, those moments, we just give ourselves a mountain to climb, and we're doing it every week. And that's something that he has to be culpable for and take responsibility for when it keeps happening, for sure. So I can't mark him high after another loss. But I thought in terms of how we played and in terms of how he managed the game in terms of his changes, apart from maybe the Johnson one, which didn't really help, I thought the other ones did. So I thought his changes helped and we should have won the game.
All right, well, that is our player ratings for the 2-1 defeat against Nottingham